Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 1st March. The news items that we have picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 13. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, even hill stations will be hotter this year, warns IMD. So this is Indian Meteorological Department, which has forecasted that temperatures across the country would be above normal. So especially in the hill stations too, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir, the temperatures would be likely to be at least 1 degree above normal summer temperatures. So this is on an average, this would be the condition in hill stations too. Also in the core heat zones, the other states in the hinterland, here also summer temperatures will be significantly warmer. So this is the prediction of Indian Meteorological Department. You should know that IMD generally forecasts monsoons, but the dynamical model which it has adopted since last year, it has been making forecast for summer as well. So this is this summer forecast coming. Also, it has said that every 5 days this summer forecast will also be updated based on the results from the dynamical model. Here also this forecast is being made on the basis of 47% probability of summer temperatures being above normal. So that is the forecast basis. Also, IMD has said that 2016 was the warmest year in a century. In last 100 years, 2016 was the warmest year. And last summer was second warmest since 1901. So this is the data it's brought out. And also it says that the heat waves, the frequency and duration of heat waves all over the country is increasing. So this is because of global warming, greenhouse gas effect, and the warming of the sea surface temperatures. So that greenhouse effect, because of even sea surface temperatures are increasing, especially over the equatorial Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean. So that is the result of heat waves in India. What is heat waves too? We'll understand because these are lexicons, terminologies which IMD has brought out and it defines them as well. So we'll see that too. So this is here the new lexicon of IMF. Another thing which is there, it says that the global weather models are also saying that there may be El Nino this year, this monsoon. So what is El Nino? We have seen earlier too. We'll see it again also. So that is there. So first, what is heat wave? So heat wave IMD has defined as temperatures greater than 4.5 degrees Celsius above what's usual for the region. So right now it said 1 degree Celsius higher. So if it's 4.5 degrees Celsius higher than normal, then it is heat wave. And cold wave is temperatures less than 4.5 degrees Celsius of what's usual for the region. So if very cold means temperature is less than 4.5, minus 4.5 than normal is cold wave. Then severe heat wave is in temperature. So if temperature is greater than or equal to 47 degrees Celsius, severe heat wave. Severe cold wave, minimum temperature is 2 degrees Celsius or lower. So these are the definitions of terminologies. Also for rainfall, it has modified. Earlier the could or may words used to suggest the possibility of rainfalls have now been replaced by this clear probability percentage wise terminology. So unlikely, rainfall is unlikely means less than 25% probability, likely means 25 to 50% probability, very likely and most likely. So that is how it is defined. Then the normal rainfall, it says normal rainfall would be when monsoon rains are plus minus 10% of the long period average. Means whatever is an average rainfall, it is plus minus 10%. So it's normal rainfall. What is this long period average? It's called LPA. This is a 50-year average. So presently it is of 89 centimeter as such. A 50-year average or 89 centimeter is what is considered as an average. Below normal means it is more, it is less than 10% of LPA. So it is much lesser than 10% also. So very less rainfall means below normal. Above normal means more than 10% of LPA, long period average. And deficient year means 10% deficit spread over 20 to 40% of the region. So it is a deficient year for that region if it's across this much region. Then regarding the El Nino. So what is El Nino? It is the anomalous warming of waters in the equatorial Pacific. And this affects the Indian monsoon. So that what is that also we'll see. So there are international global weather models are also saying that El Nino may develop during the middle of the year. So it may affect this year's monsoons. So what is El Nino also you can see. So this is the equatorial region. You can see this is South America, North America, Australia lies here and India beyond. So this El Nino conditions which prevail here affect the rainfall in Australia and also in East Asia, here in India as well. So this you can see. So generally what happens is there is ocean water here in the equatorial region is warm. So wherever warm waters develop, the clouds would develop above them. So that is low pressure here. High temperature means low pressure. So low pressure means the evaporation would take place, water would go up, cloud formation would take place, and rainfall takes place. So this is generally the pattern. And this actually warm waters here move ahead towards the Australian coast here because of the trade winds. So trade wind direction is like this. You can see where the ocean is warm, more clouds form and more rainfall is there in that part of the world. In the Pacific Ocean near the equator, the water becomes warm, but there are strong trade winds. So these carry this warm water. So water is warm, the air above them become warm, and the air, when it passes away, then cooler air takes its place. So here also these trade winds, even the warm surface water is pushed along with them. So entire water is also going ahead and pushed towards this region. So it accumulates here. So that is the strong trade winds which generally prevail here. So this, when the warm water moves away, the surface warm water moves away from South America coast, the cooler water from the lower layers come up. So that is here temperatures remain cold and here temperatures are warm in the water also. El Nino conditions, what happens is the trade winds become weak. So when the trade winds become weak, you can see this is the pattern which develops. So here trade winds are weak means water, warm water will keep accumulating here. So when it keeps accumulating here, it moves north and south too. And here clouds are formed and rainfall takes place in this region. So that's why the entire this cycle is reversed. So when warm waters are here moving up, this entire cycle you can see, this results in high pressure cold waters developing here comparatively, and here rainfall takes place and there's no rainfall and drought-like conditions in this region. And Indian monsoons are also affected because of this El Nino. There is no clear frequency or pattern of El Ninos, but generally it does take place, in 3 or 4 years also. So that is regarding El Nino. Then the next news item is GDP growth pegged at 7.1%, belying demonetization drag. So this is CSO, Central Statistics Office, which has come up with its estimate for GDP. So in this January month, for the January month, it says that the GDP forecast, which it has had at 7.1%, is remaining the same. It is not changing it. The GDP and GVA figures for the third quarter. So financial year is divided into 3 quarters: April to June, July to September, October to December, and Jan to March. So the third quarter is October to December. So for GDP, GVA figures of third quarter, it says that the GDP's growth slowed from 7%, from 7.3% to 7%. So that is also there. So 7.3% was in second quarter. You can see the details given here. So quarter 1 growth of this financial year was 7.2%. Quarter 2, the 7.4 was earlier. Presently, it had been revised to 7.3%. And the third quarter, it's a 7%. So that's what it says, that it has been reduced. GDP growth has slowed from 7.3 to 7% in the third quarter. And for GVA, what is the difference between GDP, GVA? We have done this quite often. We'll look at it once again right now. So GVA growth, also official figures say that for full year 2016-17, it has been pegged at 6.7%. Earlier it was projected at 7%. So it has been lowered now. So this is the growth forecast, because after the financial year gets over, then we'll get the final revised estimate. So presently these are the estimates put forth, advanced estimates as such. Then they are revised. You can see how revision of estimates also take place. So this has been the GDP growth over the years. What is the difference between GDP and GVA? So we have done this earlier, as I said. GDP, gross domestic product. So this is the market value of all final goods and services produced within a country in a year. For this calculation, it is within a year. GNP is gross national product. So this is within the domestic territory of the country, and GNP is by the nationals of the country. So if there's money coming from abroad, remittances coming from abroad, or any earnings coming from abroad, they are added up, and money which foreigners in India are earning, they are subtracted. So that is gross national product. So this is GDP, GNP. So you can see it's GNP is factor payments from abroad minus factor payments to abroad. So they can be like wages coming from abroad, profits, rents, interest, dividends, whatever profits are coming from abroad. So that are added up, and what is going abroad is subtracted. So GNP will be coming out, will be derived from GDP. Then what is GVA? Gross value added. So gross value added is GDP minus taxes plus subsidies, because this is only calculating value addition. So taxes which are given to the government are not because of money put in because of any value addition to the commodity. So that's why taxes are deducted, and subsidies which the government provides are provided by the government, but anyway this expenditure has to be done for value addition to the product. So that's why subsidies are added and taxes are subtracted. So that gives from GDP we can derive GVA. So this is gross value added. So now we are getting information or this estimates of GVA also. So GDP and GVA both estimates are provided. Then there are terminologies nominal and real. So nominal GVA means at current prices. So inflation variations are not taken into consideration because this is comparison. So GVA, nominal GVA will be at constant current prices, and real GVA will be at constant prices, means compared to a fixed year. So normal year may be fixed, and be compared to that what is the GVA growth is seen. So that is called at constant prices, and this is at current prices. So this is regarding GDP, GNP. Then the data here provided, so it is giving GDP estimates to, GVA estimates to for the quarterly period, also GVA for the full year also, and also CSO was one point given here is CSO was actually barred from releasing any state specific data by the election commission because of state assembly elections presently. So it has not provided any state specific data, only national level data can presently be released. That's what the election commission has asked CSO to do. So this data has come forth. Also OECD forecast you can see. So for this financial year it's 7%, and for the next 2 financial years it's 7.3 and 7.7%. So quarterly data actually over a period of time you don't need to remember every quarterly data, but at least a general idea is important. And OECD data also you don't need to remember these figures because UPSC never asks questions that what is the growth rate last year or this year. They don't ask such factual questions, so you don't need to worry about it. But yes, increase, decrease, at least relatively how is it, you should know. The exact figures need not be memorized. So this is regarding OECD information only. So that's what we saw, that what estimates OECD has given, the growth projection forecast which it has made. So for 2016-17 it has brought its forecast to 7%. Earlier it had projected 7.4%. So this is because of transitory and short-term cost from demonetization. So due to demonetization it has brought down its growth forecast. And another aspect which it is highlighting is the non-performing assets issue which banks have in India. So that is also a concern for OECD. What is OECD? We'll see that also. So you can see that it says that while banks' stressed assets have increased in recent years, it is 12.3% of GDP in September 2016 in India. It says that these non-performing loans or non-performing assets do not reflect that there is more of NPAs generated, but because there is more recognition of NPAs. So NPAs were already there, now they are specifically categorized and defined. That's what RBI had also been emphasizing on, that at least NPAs should be brought out, because banks try to hide them because they show a negative image of the banks also. So that is also there. And another thing OECD is saying that it's recommending that corporate tax should be reduced from 30 to 25%. This should be implemented. This is actually we have already discussed for small and medium enterprises in the budget. It has been reduced to 25%. So this is what it says. Then even tax rules and the implementation should be further strengthened. And there should be, it says there should be training of staff and increase in the number of staff employed in tax administration. So that is OECD recommendation. What is this OECD? It stands for Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So this is generally considered to be a grouping of developed countries. So this was formed in 1961, comprising of countries which focus on or which endorse democracy and market economy. So that are developed countries generally which are members of this OECD. So there are around 35 members. This 34 are listed here. The latest one in 2016 added is EU member Latvia. So many EU members are also here, and you can see majorly developed countries are members here. Then the next news item is MOEF seeks 5-year ban on BBC crew. So Ministry of Environment and Forest is asking Ministry of External Affairs that the BBC South Asia correspondent Justin Rowlatt, his visa should be revoked. And they should be prevented, he and his crew should be prevented from further entry into India for at least 5 years. So why is it saying this? Because also it has been said that they should be disallowed from filming permission for any protected area in the country for 5 years. So all these recommendations are coming forth because Mr. Rowlatt, he has filmed a documentary, One World Killing for Conservation. So this is a documentary on the anti-poaching strategy adopted by guards in Kaziranga Tiger Reserve in Assam. Here he says that for protecting the one-horned Indian rhino, the strategy adopted, it's calling them dark secrets, which it has revealed. It says that forest guards have been given the power to shoot and kill poachers. So this has resulted in more people being killed by guards than rhinos being killed by poachers. So this is the status of conservation in India, and because these information and this has come forth in this documentary, that is why it has made the government angry. And it says that the violations have been done by the journalists because filming was done after sunset. They have dishonored the undertaking provided that they will not deviate from the original synopsis submitted to MEA, Ministry of External Affairs. Also, they say that the screening of the documentary was not done before the Committee of Ministry of External Affairs. So they have shown wildlife conservation in a distorted manner. So to ensure that this does not take place, screening has to be done before the ministry. So these are the violations which it has listed, because of which they are seeking such stern actions against the BBC crew, rather than emphasizing on this issue which has been highlighted by them, finding out whether there is a fact in it, and if there is a fact, then steps need to be taken against this. You should remember we have already done one such news. That was in Corbett Tiger Reserve just recently, few days back, that in Corbett Tiger Reserve orders were given on shoot at sight. Shoot at sight. Attack. If you're shooting at sight, then when will you wait to attack, for others to attack? As soon as you see a poacher, you are shooting. So that if these are the kind of steps taken for conservation, so for conservation of wildlife, you are putting humans at risk. So this is the strategy adopted, is highly disheartening. It's shocking actually. And also we should know that Corbett Tiger Reserve director who had issued such an order, shoot at sight order, he has been asked to step down. So such steps need to be taken if there is a fact that needs to be highlighted, rather than just being focusing on the image of the country internationally. So that is the case here too. These are the tiger reserves of India. So this you should know, keep going through these. These are important tiger reserves, you should know. These are all the tiger reserves listed actually. The two are highlighted here. One is Nagarjuna Sagar Srisailam Tiger Reserve. We have seen this is the largest tiger reserve in the country by area. It comprises of regions in Andhra Pradesh plus Telangana. So this is repeated here. Plus another one is Pench Tiger Reserve, which is in Madhya Pradesh. Area covers Madhya Pradesh as well as Maharashtra. So these are there. Just go through them again and again, because these are very important. They may ask you questions in match or any such pairs question, whether the tiger reserve and the state is correctly matched or not. Then the next news item is copper axes point to an ancient culture story. So these are 6 copper axes and some pieces of pottery which have been discovered in Sapatpur, which is in Saharanpur district in UP. So here workers were working in a brick kiln and they were digging to collect soil, and they came across these axes. So the ASI, Archaeological Survey of India team, was sent to excavate here, and they have found that these belong to the ochre colored pottery culture, OCP culture. So this was prevailing in the Doab region. So Doab means, it's actually from an Urdu term. So Doab means 2 rivers meeting. So that is the Ganga Yamuna Doab plains of the river. 2 rivers. So this was during the late Harappa period, around 2000 BC, when this OCP culture prevailed. So some scholars also called OCP culture as the final and impoverished stage of late Harappa, and others view it as completely unrelated to Harappa, and it prevailed as a contemporary. So here there are differences, but the remnants here have been found presently. So that is an exciting discovery. So this Harappan culture also, you should know, they were not aware of iron. So this is before Iron Age. So they were aware of copper. So this was the Copper Age. So copper was used by them. So this is regarding the OCP culture. So this is the last stage. So copper, bronze is copper plus tin. So Bronze Age civilization is also what Harappa is also known as, and this also was a Bronze Age civilization. You can see that was the last stage of the North Indian Bronze Age. So this is an exciting discovery presently made. This was the Indus Valley civilization. It was along Indus River. So Indus and its 5 tributaries here in India-Pakistan region. And this is the Ganga, Yamuna, Doab here. So OCP culture prevailed here. Then the next news item is Supreme Court no to a plea to abort fetus with disorder. So this was a woman's request for aborting a fetus which had crossed the 20-week mark. So up to 20 weeks, abortion of fetus can take place, but if it's beyond that, then under Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act of 1971, you have to seek an exemption. Only if it is provided, it is allowed. So this exemption is given, an exception is made if a registered medical practitioner certifies that the continued pregnancy is life-threatening for either the mother or the baby. But in this case, it is Down syndrome which has been detected, which is a genetic disorder. So here it says that 26-week-old fetus has already grown. So the fetus grows quite fast and it's already having a human life. It's a human life inside. So now the Supreme Court is saying, since Down syndrome is not a life-threatening factor, the permission for abortion cannot be provided. He says we empathize with the woman and her child, which may suffer developmental delays and physical handicaps, but we have a life in hand. We cannot give permission for abortion. So this was the Supreme Court's judgment in this case. Down syndrome, you should know, it's also called trisomy 21. So trisomy 21 means an extra chromosome is there. So in humans, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. So on chromosome 21, there is an extra pair that results in this Down syndrome, which results in delayed milestones, intelligence, IQ is low, cardiac defects may develop, neonatal hypotonia. So hypo means less, tonia means muscle tone. So muscle tone is less. So muscle development issues are also there. And these specific facial features are also there, which you generally see in Down syndrome people. Then the next news item is NHRC notice to states on hysterectomies. So NHRC has taken a suo motu cognizance of a report in the Hindu where the incidences of hysterectomies being conducted on women without medical justification for commercial gains was highlighted. So this was in the regions of Maharashtra and Karnataka. So now a notice has been issued by NHRC to the Maharashtra and Karnataka governments on this. What is hysterectomies? We have done tubectomies and vasectomies. So here hysterectomy actually is the uterus is removed. So uterus in females where the fetus develops. So here you can see this is the ovary where eggs are formed. This is the fallopian tube through which the eggs then, here it comes to the uterus. So the uterus may be partially or completely removed. So this, when females complain regarding any issue of bleeding, etc., then it is seen that they are having a simple sonography being done, not much details taken, and they suggest hysterectomy and they remove the uterus. So of course, after that, pregnancy would become difficult because there is no uterus to have the fetus develop. So this is hysterectomy. Then the next news item is NGT notice to center over pollution. So this National Green Tribunal has given a notice to central government on pollution here in Meerut. So a petition was filed before the NGT by a Meerut resident. Meerut is in UP. So here he says that there should be restriction on entry of diesel vehicles more than 10 years old and petrol vehicles more than 15 years old. The way it's there in Delhi for Meerut also. Because if you see the air pollution levels in Meerut, which have been provided, so the study has been conducted by Center of Science and Environment. So this shows that the particulate matter 2.5 concentration, this we have done quite often even yesterday. So you should know what is PM 2.5. So this concentration has been more in Meerut than even in Delhi. So it's more severe. Here it's seen that the PM 2.5 is 1470 micrograms per cubic meter. When the allowed limit, safe limit is 60 micrograms per cubic meter. So there are steps required for tackling air pollution in Meerut. So that's why this petition has been filed and NGT has given Notice the Central Pollution Control Board, State Pollution Control Board, Ministry of Environment. So they have to reply. UP Road Transport Corporation reply will be coming in by April 10. So after that, we will hear more on this too, that what steps would be taken by the government. So NGT, you should know, it's a specialized tribunal. It's headed by Justice Swatantra Kumar, set up to look into environment related cases. So they are expedited quickly based on principles of natural justice. They don't have to go through the CPC or IPC as such. So that is not required. The code of law, specifically the procedure need not be followed, so that quick judgments can come. Principles of natural justice have to be upheld. Means justice would prevail, but not stringent laws that, which would take a lot of time and lot of hearings. So all that quick justice is required with respect to environment. It should be expediently resolved, and that is why this NGT, National Green Tribunal, has been established. Also, it reduces the burden on the judiciary. Then the next news item is India not to issue demarche to US. So this is with respect to the Indian killing in an alleged hate crime, the Indian engineer. So here the government has now said there will be no demarche issued to USA. So means demarche is actually a term used in diplomatic language, where it means that an official appeal or request is made by a diplomat to the foreign government. So here it says that India and US officials are engaged on the issue of safety of Indians in America. So no official demarche would be issued to USA. So this has been the government's stand. Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar will be visiting Washington soon. So they are saying that we are discussing the issue. It is important because US President Donald Trump has not given any response on these killings. Though a White House spokesperson said that this incident is disturbing, but US President Donald Trump, who gives his viewpoints, keeps tweeting on various incidents across, has not made a mention of this incident at all. So that is what is criticized in US and Indian media. Then the next news item is India, Oman to hold counter-terror exercises. So India and Oman are having their second bilateral exercises. So these joint exercises of the armed forces is done to understand the interoperability. So if there is any joint cooperation required, they should be knowing how they function and how they can function together. So for defense cooperation, these exercises are done. This is the second one. So this is called Al-Nagah 2. So that is between India and Oman. And this is focusing on counter-terrorism. So this exercise will be held in Himachal Pradesh from March 6 to 19. It's a 14-day exercise. And also this is to enhance, as I said, to knowledge of each other's military procedures qualitatively and increase the scope of interoperability and better responsiveness to common threat. Also, India and Oman have their bilateral maritime exercises regularly since 1993. So these are called Nasim al-Bahar. So this has been there. These are being held now. Joint army exercises will also be conducted between Indian Army and the Royal Army of Oman. So that is there. So we have Indian Navy has been cooperating with UAE, Oman, even in training, operational interactions, and also in exchange of white shipping information. So that is also there. White shipping information is exchange of information on identity and movements of commercial merchant vessels. White shipping, not military. Commercial vessels, those are called white shipping. So that information is also exchanged on a regular basis between these countries in West Asia. Then the next news item is core sector growth slows. So this is the data coming in. We come across this data every month. So here it says that the 8 core sectors, and this has been asked in UPSC quite often, about which amongst the following are 8 core sectors, or so such questions can be expected. So you should know everything about this. So 8 sector core sector growth is at a 5-month low of 3.4% in January 2017. So this is January month data which has been brought forth. Also another thing, so every month's data, as I've said earlier too, you don't need to remember these figures. Anyway, UPSC does not ask any figures specifically, which you should remember with respect to these economic data. But yeah, the core sector, you should know, they contribute 38% of total industrial production. So on IIP, Index of Industrial Production, this 38% contribution is of core sectors, and they have expanded. If you look at the overall expansion that has taken place in April to January of this financial year, it has been 4.8% expansion compared to 2.9% growth in the same period in the previous year. but for the month of January it has gone low. So that is the present data which has been released by Commerce and Industry Ministry. So which are these 8 core sectors, and their weightage as such is shown here. So these are the 8 core sectors, you should remember them, and their weightage as such is also provided. So this has also been a question, I suppose, where electricity has the maximum weightage. So such information you should know in IIP. So this is Index of Industrial Production. In this, maximum weightage is to which amongst these 8 sectors, that you should know. Then the next news item is spectrum auction to be held annually. So this is the Telecom Secretary Mr. Deepak saying that the government will hold fresh spectrum auctions on an annual basis now, and for this year too, it's from July to December that the auction may be held, because it wants the telecom companies, whatever be the requirements of spectrum, they should be able to have them fulfilled through these auctions also, which will take place regularly now. Earlier, the spectrum auctions were not done regularly, plus also the entire spectrum was not put on sale. Limited spectrum was offered in auctions till 2015. But since last year, the government has started putting all available spectrum on sale, because this has been a Supreme Court judgment too that it should be put up on sale. And another point which he has highlighted is that India will work on bringing in 5G telecom networks in tandem with the rest of the world. Means when 5G is introduced globally, India should be also ready for 5G, and it can be introduced here. Because in 3G, 4G, the rollout in India was far slower than globally. So we are planning this too. The first country which is expected to launch 5G is South Korea. So this will take place during the 2018 Winter Olympics in South Korea. So India is also taking steps for this. The policies would be coming out soon on 5G as well. So that is there. What is 5G? You should know. So these are the 5 generations, the details provided here. But in short, if you want to understand that these are the generations in telecom. So 1G technology, the speed, you can see the speed has increased drastically over the generations. And this was basic voice services. It was analog basic voice service, that is called 1G technology. 2G is voice using digital standards. So this is 2G technology. And then 3G technology is mobile broadband using IP protocols, internet protocols could be used. That was 3G technology. 4G technology is true mobile broadband and a unified standard. So 4G technology came in. LTE is long-term evolution. So further increase in speed and bringing in mobile broadband was 4G technology. And 5G technology will be tactile internet with service-aware devices and fiber-like speed. So very high speed and meta technology is what 5G would be. Then the last news item is World Health Organization wants new drugs against 12 supergerms. So this is World Health Organization's appeal to the government, scientists and pharmaceutical companies that they should create new drugs to tackle 12 antibiotic resistant supergerms that are threatening to result in explosion of diseases. So the market force is dependent only on only antibiotics can be made by these pharmaceutical companies. It's market dependent. So once they bring out, then only they can be put in the market and made available to the people. So that's what it says. It is left to the market forces alone to bring out the antibiotics as such, which are resistant to these super germs also. So we need new drugs now. So these germs can cause ailments including lung, blood, brain and urinary tract infection, food poisoning from salmonella and gonorrhea. So that's why steps are needed against these bacteria. It has also listed them out as priority. These are critical and these are high on priority and these medium on priority. So these are the 12 super germs, and causing what they cause is listed here, and they're resistant to the present antibiotics is also shown. So that's why new antibiotics, new drugs are required here. So many antibiotics have been developed, but bacteria develop antibiotic resistance. So these are the list of antibiotics also. In cephalospores, we have had 4 generations also, 4 and 5 generations, but still antibiotic resistance develops. How antibiotic resistance develops? Because when an antibiotic is taken, then all the bacteria which are there are a high number of bacteria, so few of them are resistant to that drug, to that antibiotic. So others get killed and these few resistant ones remain, and then they are free. Because these few of them are remaining, then they are free to multiply in these preferred conditions and grow and multiply, take over. Then after that, when other bacteria also come in, they can transfer. So this is possible for bacteria. They can transfer their drug resistance to other bacteria. So that results in the problem aggravating. So that is why antibiotics should not be taken in more doses than required or less doses than required. So that is how you can make sure that antibiotic resistance does not develop. So steps are needed for that too, and new drugs are also presently needed as antibiotic resistance has already developed. Right? So these are the news items for today. Thank you.